full of real fans. Now that's what truly forges legends. This major will be unlike any other, hosted in a modern coliseum and taking place on a magnificent stage, granting 20,000 fans unparalleled views and unrivaled access to the best teams competing. Too small. That's more like it. Don't miss your chance to feel the energy and experience the emotions live. Claim your place among legends in the making. Buy your ticket now for the Star Ladder Budapest Major.
I'll be waiting for you. Mother cluckers.
Order restored. Nature is indeed healing as Falcons return to winning ways. That was a statement performance from Nico Devil Walk to see a very comfortable win versus Passion.
Yeah, I mean, he had 9-1 in entry at frags, and essentially, you know, one of the things, you know, if you just look at how dominant this performance actually was, 9 rounds in, Passion's UA, they have 11 kills and 0 seconds of man advantage in this game.
Yeah, it's tough to win a game of Counter-Strike if that's a fact. It's tough to win a game of Counter-Strike when you're playing against Falcons, and Nico decided to show up. I feel like most of the world, including myself, have been thinking for quite some time, where is the Nico that we know? Where's the Nico that stepped up in the beginning after the summer break, who slowly but surely grinded his way back to almost look like the old self, just to falter in Hong Kong, just to have one of the worst performances he's had in a long, long time. A bit worried heading into the major. Is it the old Nico? Is it the new Nico? What kind of version are we getting? This is a reference game for him. This is what you want to see coming out from Nico, and this is the scary prospect when it comes to the Falcons, and we just need to remind people at home, regardless of whether you like them or not, when you have Nico, Monacy, and Kyusuke on your lineup with that much individual skill, it doesn't take all 3 of them to play well at the same time. It just takes one of them, sometimes 2 of them, to play as well as Nico did right here in order to absolutely dominate your opposition, especially when it's a team beneath you. Now, this wouldn't work against Furia. It wouldn't work against Vitality. It doesn't work against the best of the best. But when you're Passion UA, you stand no chance.
Yeah, and it's a really important task to get the job dispatched of, completed convincingly. It leaves no room for any questions if you're in the minds of Falcons that you are indeed the better team, and this is the platform that you want to be starting the rest of your major going forward on.
Yeah, I mean, and now, you know, there's, you know, obviously one best of one more, but then they're going to be in a comfortable position moving into the best of threes. I think 1-1 is a completely acceptable situation to start the first day off, especially with how badly they started the day. So yeah, I'll be pretty calm if I was Falcons, showing off in this fashion.
There's so many teams who say, you know, coming into the opening day of a major, we just want to avoid going 0-2.
Yes.
You know, that's the only thing we want to not do. So going 1-for-1, obviously Falcons would have loved to beat Bait in that opening game, but 1-1 is not a disaster, and especially as you said, Freya, when the win is convincingly, you know, when you have your players showing up in this fashion, then that's a good sign. The only issue for me, and the only problem, is that the guy all the way to your right here, Monacy, who has been their by far best player as of late, who had a fantastic showing in Hong Kong, he's yet to join the server. 2 best of 1 games, small sample size. I'm sure he's going to show up, but that's the only question mark still remain.
Fingers crossed, because as you said before, they need it when they're going up against the quote-unquote better opposition. There wasn't too much technical to be pulling from what was a very fast map, but we did pick out one round. Round 15, what's the tale here?
Yeah, so round 15, I kind of want to highlight a little bit of a trick that Falcons use to actually fake. They use 3 smokes here on yard. Obviously, we got this entry from Nico early on with Halsey kind of over-committing, but they threw 3 smokes on yard, and you had 2 smokes, and then 1 more kind of behind them, which actually, you know, turns out to be in their favor, because you can't use the nade break to actually gain the information, leaves the ramp guy pretty alone. And it's a well-executed round. A little bit tricky, but I love it from Falcons.
Yeah, it's nice to see they have a couple of set plays out there. Obviously, you can see in the beginning of the round as well, the way Nico is just throwing his body up on Silo, like saying, come at me. You know, I want to duel you, I want to fight you, and then obviously winning the duel as well. It's nice to see a player playing with that kind of confidence, and it has been a while since we've seen Nico be this happy. So for that, I'm happy on his behalf and for Falcons. For Passion UA, on the other hand, it is slightly disappointing that they weren't able to put up more of a fight. Again, no one expected them to win, but I felt it would have been nice to at least have a moment in the game where it was competitive, or you know, a couple of rounds where you think to yourself, all right, maybe you could string some rounds together. I believe they played each other in Hong Kong as well, where it was a close game, where Passion UA did apply pressure. This time around, though, Freya, there was only one team on the serve.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Passion now finding themselves in that 0-2 bucket. But just whilst we look at some highlights from Kyosuke and Nico combined, I'm curious, Devil Walk, because you're obviously a veteran of the space. When was the first time you heard Nico's name? Can you remember the first time maybe you played against him or even just heard of him as a prospect?
I'm pretty sure I played him in Bucharest in 2013, and he was definitely, you know, one guy. He was just top fragging, he was completely carrying his team, and actually made it pretty close against us. I can't remember the scoreline now, but I'm pretty sure he was top fragging on the server.
He's a guy who used to live on the deathmatch servers. Back in the day, like the best way to practice was playing deathmatch. And I swear to God, like no player in the world of Counter-Strike in the early days of his career played more deathmatch than Nico. Like it was all hard work, it was all grinding on the DM, and you could be damn sure that when you joined the DM server, you know, the brutal deathmatch servers, as people would remember back in the days, Nico would always be in there. He would always be sitting with 500 plus frags. So it didn't come, you know, as a natural skill thing for him. He worked hard in the beginning of his career, and which is part of the reason why he has, you know, arguably throughout history, the best rifling skills the game has ever seen.
And now you might have...
For me, is the big name. I think MPL and Kansasor obviously have great performances, but just because Kansasor is that frontline man, that entry fragger, and he's so momentum-based, he will continue to rip you apart if he gets, you know, a little bit of an opening. I've seen it especially on maps like Dust 2. I think Overpass is probably a difficult map to be that kind of entry fragger on, to be fair, but I think that he's the backbone of why they are succeeding at this stage, and he's the guy to watch for me.
Now, we've already seen Mao's play Overpass versus Paravision of all teams. They had the cojones to let it be Train and Overpass to Paravision to decide from. What did you learn from what was a very close map for Mouse to start this campaign off?
I think Mouse was off to a shaky start. Obviously, playing Paravision or Overpass, that's a questionable decision in terms of the veto. It's a big gamble, I'd say, or at least it feels like an invitation to Paravision to be competitive. I think against Bait, it makes more sense. These two teams have played each other once back at the Blast Bounty in Malta, I believe, where Bait actually went into that game wanting to wager some money against Mouse, and Mouse declined the wager, you know, suggesting that Mouse was maybe a bit fearful of Bait. So I think it's a team they respect. On a map like Overpass, though, Mouse, you get to start CT side, you're the heavy favorite. I think it speaks volume.
And you respect Bait, Pimp. You very clearly respect Bait in these predictions.
There must be a mistake, no? There must be a mistake. Did I really predict Bait to beat Mouse? I don't know. I think they can make the game come.
Now, Devil Walk, you went with Mouse. You went with clearly the fan favorites in this arena. It should be a pretty convincing performance, no?
Yeah, I think, you know, when you come into a game, you started really shaky against Paravision. Now you got a second try, but just getting that victory gives you a little bit of, you know, settles your nerves a little bit, makes you a little bit more comfortable. So that's why I think that we're going to see an even better Mouse in this game versus Bait.
There's so many moments where we go to huge arenas and Mouse are not the fan favorites. More often than not, they aren't. So it's kind of almost bringing a tear to my eye to hear Torzy's name being chanted in Hungary. I'm sure he wants to be performing.
It feels like it's the first time anyone is cheering like fully for Mouse, and well deserved. I think they come into this tournament as well. Jimfat said it in an interview yesterday as well. Well prepared, they worked hard, they grinded for it. Mouse have so much to prove, right? Throughout the entirety of the year, they've been consistently a top 3 team in the world. They've been getting into the grand finals. They just haven't been able to win the big trophies. The only one was the Klusner Pro at the beginning, the very first event with Spinks and Roland on the lineup. So for them to be able to replicate some kind of that performance means the world to them. No better place to do it for Torzy than right here in Budapest. So I'm curious to see if they're actually true, right? Have they worked harder than ever? Have they raised their level a little bit? And can they potentially win the major? This game is not going to decide that, but I think there's a world where they beat them.
It is time to find out who is going to be going 2-0 here in Budapest.
Mao's right back where this day began, playing a little bit of overpass, and we know that Paravision pushed them to the limits, but both times it is Mao's to start this on the CT side.
Okay.
Yeah, Bait believes. MPL sitting in the backdrop here with the utility. Jimpat gave us a 4K on this very bomb site versus Paravision in the first round of his major. What's it gonna be this time, Jimmy? Eats that second flashbang. Support comes out from heaven out of Brolin. Very fast move from Zershin over towards short side, and Jimmy will collect a first frag. Zershin takes his pressure and goes right through that smoke. Senthiel gets popped, and the Berettas will tear through. This time, another 4K. This time, it's Zershin.
We saw those moments blossoming on the first game of the day here for Mao's. Exertion really put up a good effort to nearly pull out a 1v4, lock down the sites, and now it looks like they're going to continue forward. He really wants to make this happen for Torji.
You know, Zershin was somebody who took over in the first map as well. There was actually a halftime listen-in where Zershin came out and said, like, guys, the game is here. We're at the major. You know, no more sighing down the mic. If we're going to win this game, we're going to win it by like, pulling ourselves up now. And that was actually like a nice little moment of leadership out of him, something that we've attributed to Torji as this team has evolved. And it's nice to just know that Zershin, who was playing incredibly well, was there to kind of pick up his teammates in what felt like a sketchy start to the major. You know, Torji's individual level in that first map wasn't anything to be super hyped up about, and I'm sure he adds that extra level of pressure on himself, wanting to play well in front of a crowd that's willing to chant his name in an anti-eco round.
With 2 frags, definitely.
You know, and the desk, I think in jest, the desk said, like, it feels like the first time we've really heard a crowd chant for Maus, but it's a team that, you know, some call Orioles. It's a team that not everybody wants to cheer for, but it's a team that does play incredibly good Counter-Strike, consistent abilities to get into so many deep playoff runs.
It was Cluj the first time we saw them win fans, right?
Yeah, 100%.
They did have the crowd on their side.
And I think Torji's exit interview in Austin was also somebody that definitely kind of pulled on the heartstrings of the Counter-Strike community. You could see just how badly they wanted it.
Yeah, just them not them taking the moment seriously. Even though we know every player feels everything 100%, they don't always show it. And it was nice to get that vulnerability out of Maus for sure. Torji wears his heart on his sleeve. Pretty brave place to go here for Bait. Knowing that Maus had a tough game, an overtime game, and they won versus Paravision for the first time anyone's beat them so far at this major.
First overtime break.
That's just such a good rep.
Torji hanging out on his angle. There's targets to be found, but not there. You can feel that looming threat getting closer, and there's a lot of bodies behind the first one as well. First real test for Torji on this second outing of Overpass. Flashes coming at it. He's again not quite sure when exactly it's going to strike, but he's losing teammates over on long. He plays the waiting game and pops head trick. Smoke drops in front of him. He's going to be content to just slide away from this, but that does allow Bait to get dangerously closer as NPL goes back to grab the bomb off of Torji's first kill. He gets into the cover, tries to go back at that instantly, and gives over opening kills. Good space creation here from Bait, able to push that bomb onto the site, and they just do that, right? They creep closer and closer, and then they jump on this bomb site.
Yeah, it's going to be a sour moment for Maus because they kind of knew it was coming, and Torji was pre-scoped, waiting for that walk-up, but when he went for the re-peek, instantly died to the AK of Bait, and we will see moments like that, right? Bait got here by taking out Falcons on Ancient. The display of aim was what we saw versus other teams. This was just versus the best team we'd seen so far. Bait are maturing very quickly as the days go on, and that's what's going to be scary. So here's a start where they answer back 4-4, and then, you know, they still are in a good spot, but as soon as Torji goes for that re-peek, he just assumes it's a free frag. The aim says differently here. Bait get on the board off that one kill.
Yeah, it's 3 nice instances of aim across it, right? We don't get to see Kenzie's kill, but it's a headshot. Ascenthiel and Alex also insta headshots.
Yeah, it's always headshots.
Making sure to put down Maus's attempt at just holding on to their bomb site. So Bait don't waste any time to get on the scoreboard and to put that pressure right back on Maus. But pressure was something that we also had Paravision apply to them constantly.
I was going to say, they're going to have a lot of similarities between Paravision and Bait. on the aim front. They're so similar. Like, so much love in the building for Torzy.
Just wait till we get to the arena.
Warms my heart personally. Just want this tech pause to go on forever.
I don't know how you can't love the guy.
You know, Budapest as a location came out of nowhere.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
After being here, it is actually such a beautiful place.
Yeah.
I would have known nothing about it. It's obviously one of the great parts about Counter-Strike, taking us all over the world.
You know, Europeans are real judgmental about other European cities. I've never heard a European say anything bad about this place.
No.
I can get it. I'm starting to find representation across the Counter-Strike community as well. Obviously, Torzy really flies that flag the highest. Flashy's got hopes of also hearing his name. But it's all fun and games until Mouse lose.
He's going to cry whether they win or lose.
You know, I think this is one of the best things about Counter-Strike, finding new locations to host events, is there are people who love this game all across the world, and there are few players that can make it to the very top. And if you are one of these countries that finally gets represented on the biggest stages and the major comes your way...
Oh, it makes sense when you see good players come out of regions where there's lots of good players. Then you got Torzy, there's just not that many, you know, and for you to be at the pinnacle of that,